I just snatched up the 1980 slasher movie, He Knows You're Alone, on Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Now, I wasn't blown away by this movie when I first watched it on DVD years ago, but I was excited to revisit it on Blu-ray. So, was it worth a second look? Well, let's find out. The film opens with a young couple making out in their car. Now, the handsy guy is played by none other than Russell Todd from Friday the 13th Part 2 and Chopping Mall. We're in classic slasher movie territory as he goes out to investigate a strange noise. And, surprise, he's dead. But the big surprise is that what we just saw is actually a horror movie being viewed by an audience. It's pretty clever, shoddy blue screen effect notwithstanding. We learn that one of the characters watching the movie is being stalked, and she's killed the exact moment a death on screen happens. It's a fantastic opening sequence and very similar to the intro of Scream 2. We're then treated to the title card with a score that sounds strangely familiar. I can't quite place it. So we immediately learn that the killer is targeting brides-to-be because he himself was dumped. We see him murder his ex in a flashback that, to be honest, really takes away from the suspense. Right off the bat, we instantly know exactly who the killer is and see his face and everything. We're quickly introduced to an obsessive detective whose fiancée was murdered by the psycho. The detective spends the film searching for the killer and trying to stop him before he strikes again. It's kind of similar to another obsessed character from another film. So we meet our lead, Amy, who is set to be married herself. The killer immediately targets her as his next victim. He stalks her and pops in and out of the frame, which is a lot like... Okay, enough of that. This movie clearly takes its inspiration from the John Carpenter classic Halloween, which was released 2 years before this. Actually, inspiration probably isn't the right word. Rip-off would be more accurate. So Amy's fiancé is leaving for the weekend to have his bachelor party.
Hottest pornos in town.
And we pick up the women on the way.
Seems like a nice guy. This leaves the killer to target Amy and her friends. By the way, I really like the music that plays during this scene. It's a pretty catchy tune. Yeah, I'm pretty weird. So the rest of the film has the killer stalking Amy and knocking off her friends one by one. Now, of course, I have to mention one of the cast members here. This was the film debut of Tom Hanks, who we all clearly know best from the 80s sitcom Bosom Buddies. Tom Hanks does a good job and makes the most of his small role. In fact, the cast is actually pretty solid throughout, and there's some other familiar faces here too. The direction by Armin Mastriani is great, with a heavy focus on suspense and mood. As I mentioned earlier, the film takes its cues from Halloween. It's definitely a bit distracting at first, but once you set that aside, there's a lot of enjoyment to be had here. Oh, and there's one scene where our heroine tries to hide from the killer in her sweater. She's no Jamie Lee Curtis, that's for sure. As I said, I didn't care much for this on my first viewing back in probably 2004 or so, but this time I liked it a lot more. It's got some flaws, with the killer being shown often and no mystery to his motive, and seeing his face so much really takes away from the suspense, in my opinion. And there's almost no blood at all in this, aside from a quick decapitation. But it's fine. I don't mind more of an emphasis on suspense once in a while. I won't spoil it here, but the film has a great ending too. It's actually pretty clever. It's good stuff. Overall, this is a solid little Halloween ripoff that I had a great time revisiting. Scream Factory has included a new 2K scan, and the results are great. Now, some shots are grainier than others, but overall, it's a big improvement over my old DVD copy. Scream has included a nice collection of special features. We've got a director and writer commentary track, trailer and TV spots, and 4 brand new interviews. One with director Armin Mastriani, producer Robert D'Amelia, writer Scott Parker, and actor Dan Scardino. The interviews range from 7 to 13 minutes and share a lot of great information on this obscure little slasher flick. No reversible art is included with this release. Overall, this is another solid Blu-ray from Scream Factory. It's got some great special features, and the film itself is a fun little 80s slasher movie. Highly recommended.